I remember the first time I was reading the book of Adam and Eve. And prior to this, it doesn't matter which version of Torah you read. In Genesis, the account is all the same. We get a little bit more when you read Joshua and Jubilees and some of the other extracurricular texts. But I'd like to present this in a way that we can possibly understand the emotions, the feelings, the tragedy, the lifelessness that Adam and Kawa, or Eve as most people call her, went to see. You see, as we are born babies, none of us remember this. None of us remember it till we're young people. And we remember glimpses here and there. But what we have is we have a lifetime of experience. We take for granted that we can step out of bed and walk to the kitchen. We don't remember how we learned to walk, but we now walk. And our Creator is such an amazing Creator that we have these experiences of being babies all the way to being old men, and we can experience this incredible life experience that Creator has given us. But our forefathers, Father Adam and Father and Mother Kawa, Eve, we don't know how old they were when they were created. They weren't babies, but they were created in such a way that they didn't have the same experiences that we have. And so if we are looking at anybody to blame, it shouldn't be them. And what do I mean? Absolutely, we should blame them. But listen, if you guys were in the exact same situation and you guys were crafted against an entity that wasn't just born, but that an entity that had probably been around for many thousands of years, maybe even more than that. They were pitted against the greatest evil of all times. And when we are put into this world as adults, we don't understand that people are out there trying to beat us up and trying to take our stuff. They will steal from us if they can. We don't have these experiences, and neither did they. They didn't know that this entity in the garden was a liar, was a filthy liar. They didn't know he was the father of liars. We only know he is the father of liars because we were told this. We didn't know how evil Hasatan was, the adversary, until we have books like this that shows us what it is. So if we want to take blame, I don't so much know as we should take blame, because I don't know so much as if we would pass these tests ourselves, put into the same situation. We can certainly shake our heads and go, oh, wow, they were told not to eat this apple. But we don't know the situation leading up to that. We don't know the schmoozing of Hasatan. We don't know. We do know that he can transform himself into anything he wants. We do know he was a cool walker and funky talker. And he was able to schmooze Mother Eve into this, Mother Kawa. But we can't judge this. And so what we can do and what we can take from this is that the number one, there was no long-term Torah, right? They didn't have 200 commandments. They had, do not eat of this tree. I'm sure they had other stuff. I'm sure they walked and talked with our Creator. But as far as a simple commandment that they were unable to keep is not to eat of the tree of good and evil, of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, of what would open their eyes. And that was what the single command they violated. Now, if we look at ourselves today, we look at our world. I can't go a day without sinning. I can't go 10 minutes without an evil thought or some sort of impatience that would probably lead me into the pits of hell. So before we judge these folks, we must understand exactly what they were. And they were put into a pit of evil without being, I'm not going to say they were not properly equipped, because our Creator would never, ever put us in that situation where we were like this. It's that we fail to sin. And if it was this easy to fall from sin and lose our entire safety net of this garden, you see, this garden wasn't just a house and a land. This garden was perfection. This was paradise. When Adam, in the first 5 chapters of this, when they step out of the garden and they look at this rocky lands and this dry lands and the sand, and their hearts are broken, right? Their hearts are broken. They do not know what to do. They probably had lush green grass that just was perfectly trimmed. It looked beautiful. They had, a cow named Rosie came by and trimmed their lawn perfectly. There was no garbage in the garden. And so when you step out into this terrain of the real world, and you were born at an older age, you're 30 years old or whatever you are, you don't have that experience of 29 years of experience to take you to this point. And so you're taken out, and we must have sympathy and empathy and a understanding of what our forefathers went through, because it wasn't only their sin that cost them out. It was their sin and their unknowing that they are stuck where they are at. And our goal, what we want to do, is we want to get back to this sea. There's a sea inside of the garden, and the sea inside of the garden, wherever the sea is, if we can get to this, we can become clean. It says even if you're black, you become white, whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but I would imagine if you're completely dirty and sin-ridden, you come out and you would be clean, white as snow. So let's put on our sympathy hats and let's read and see what we can find out from here. We are in chapter 6, and we'll just read it. Verse 1, But Elohim looked upon them, for they had killed themselves through great grief. But he would raise them and comfort them. He therefore sent his word unto them, that they should stand and be raised forthwith. Now, unlike the first 5 chapters, I'm going to break into this when I find stuff, and we're just going to discuss this because I don't want to miss anything. But a lot of people don't understand that Father Adam and Mother Kawa Eve, they ended up dead a few times. They were literally had to be raised. The first people that were ever raised from the dead that we know of was Father Adam. And I believe to this point, he's already died at least once, or is so grief-stricken. But what we know right here in chapter 5, they were broken, right? They were completely broken. They were in a strange land. They didn't know what to do. The grief of being tossed out and in this world, they don't know what to do. And you'll understand, their minds at this point are simply children. They're simply children in their minds. Verse 4, And the Lord said unto Adam and Eve, You transgressed of your own free will until you came out of the garden in which I had placed you. Of your own free will you have transgressed through your desire for divinity, greatness, and an exalted state, such as I have, so that I deprived you of the bright nature in which you then were, and I made you come out of the garden to this land, rough and full of trouble. If only you had not transgressed my commandment and had kept my law, and had not eaten of the fruit of the tree, near which I told you not to come, and there were fruit trees in the garden better than this one. And that's amazing right there, right? That is that's our Creator saying there were much better fruit in the garden. You guys came to the one that it looked good. You were schmoozed, but it wasn't the right one. Verse 7, But the wicked Satan, who continued not in his first estate, nor kept his faith, in whom was no good intent towards me, and who, though I had created him, yet set me at naught, and sought the Godhead, so that I hurled him down from heaven. He it is who made the tree appear pleasant in your eyes, until you ate of it, by hearkening to him. Okay, so if we stop right there and look at the power of Ha-Satan. So right out of the gate, he is able to challenge our Creator and not be smoted, right? This is a journey of good versus evil, and it says right there, Satan, he was booted out of the first estate. And when it says Godhead, the Christians will take the Godhead and go, oh, well, that's the Trinity. But we know that when we read the Bible, there's no such thing as a Trinity. There's Elohim, Most High, and then there's this son of Elohim, Yahushua. And so back to 7, if you underestimate the power of Ha-Satan, please understand right here, he was able to make this tree appear what they wanted to be. He was able to craft them. That he's able to manipulate the environment around him, right? Please understand this, because not everything you see in this world is real. 8. Thus you have transgressed my commandment, and therefore have I brought you upon all these sorrows. For I am Elohim, the creator. I am Yahuwah, the creator, who, when I created my creatures, did not intend to destroy them. But after they had sorely roused my anger, I punished them with grievous plagues until they repent. But if, on the contrary, they still continue hardened in their transgression, they shall be under a curse forever. Wow. So, guys, right here, when you're looking at things that, does this bode with the Torah? Is this possibly the word of Yah? Is this ordained for us to read today? Well, it says right here, and if all we get from this, that all we had to do was be with our Creator, right? Right there. Verse 8, they have transgressed my commandment. What commandment? Well, don't eat of the tree. Don't eat of the tree that I told you not to. But this commandment goes for every one of us today. Our Creator says, don't eat swine. But yet every Christian out there loves their swine. I had a guy quote me today in comments. He goes, oh, it's not what goes into man that pollutes them and violates them. And I'm like, well, that's good and dandy. That's what you can say, but that's not what the Bible says. It says we should not eat swine, but yet you guys have made it a meal. And then he quotes me, well, because I was a bit harsh. He quotes me, you need to love your neighbor as yourself. And I'm like, well, okay, we can take that verse, but let's not forget the very first part of that verse. That's only second part of the greatest commandments. Okay, if I love my neighbor as myself, I am loving you right now by telling you your soul is going to go to hell by your indulgence in swine. If there's only one commandment that got people booted out of the garden, imagine what your continual eating of pig would do. Because our Creator says, if you've transgressed my commandments, I will bring you all these sorrows. He also goes further on into 10 that says, if you continue to harden in your transgressions, and what is a transgression? It's violation of the law. It's violation of the law, statutes, and commands of our Creator. You transgress it when you eat swine or when you do evil stuff that is against the Torah. So, most people say, I don't care. Okay, well, look at the last part of verse 10. It says, they shall be under a curse forever. Oh, who's out there saying, raising their hand, who wants a curse? Oh, I do. Well, every time you put that swine to your lips, you're continuing on with the curse of whatever's happening to you. And I'm just using swine as the example because that's the candy of the Christians that they can't give up at all. Chapter 7. When Adam and Eve heard these words from Elohim, they wept and sobbed yet more. But they strengthened their hearts in Elohim because they now felt that the Lord was to them like a father and a mother. And for this very reason, they wept before him and sought mercy from him. Then Elohim had pity on them and said, oh, Adam, I have made my covenant with thee, and I will not turn from it. Neither will I let thee return to the garden until my covenant of the great 5 days and a half are fulfilled. Then Adam said unto Elohim, O Lord, thou didst create us and make us fit to be in the garden. And before I transgressed, thou madest all the beasts come to me, that I should name them. Thy grace was then on me, and I named every one according to thy mind. And thou madest them all subject to me. But now, O Lord Elohim, that I have transgressed thy commandment. Guys, it doesn't say commandments, right? We are falling under the persecution of the breaking the Torah, that we were booted out of our first home because we broke one commandment. Can you guys go through a day without breaking commandments? Remember, it's what out of the mouth, from in the heart, is what defiles a man. And the Christians will go, it's not what I put in the mouth. Right. Okay? But this is it. Adam is broken because he broke one commandment. And like I said, our Creator is like a mother and a father. He is our father. And that's why when we get spanked, we should appreciate the spankings. We should take our spankings, wipe our tears, and we should not do again what we were doing to get us in that same problem. Verse 5. But now, O Lord Elohim, that I have transgressed thy commandment, all beasts will rise against me and will devour me and Eve, thy handmaid, and will cut off our life from the face of the earth. I therefore beseech thee, O Elohim, that thou, since thou hast made us come out of the garden and hast made us be in a strange land, thou wilt not let the beasts hurt us. This is very interesting, right? This is very, very interesting, right? In the Bible, it even talks about Israel not being able to take over the land because the wild beasts will get them. We have dominion. And in fact, a command is to have dominion over the animals. If you let the animals rise up, you'll end up with a pack of lions that will kill you, right? So Adam's, one of the very first things he's worried about right here is that all of these animals that he once had dominion over, and it even says in here, these animals used to talk. These animals didn't just come up to Adam and go with nothing. They came up, Adam, what is my name? What do you call me? And they left and like, oh, I'm a leopard. Oh, okay. Everyone, I'm a leopard. So there you go. Verse 7. When the Lord heard these words from Adam, he had pity on him and felt that he had truly said that the beasts of the field would rise and devour him and Eve, because he, the Lord, was angry with him on account of their transgression. With them too, on account of their transgression. Sorry. Then Elohim commanded the beasts and the birds and all that moves upon the earth to come to Adam and to be familiar with him, and not to trouble him and Eve, nor yet any of the good and righteous from among their posterity. So right out of the gate, Dad Adam got with Father Yahuwah, and Yah said, okay, if this is your fear, let's just have the animals come. And so he basically had the animals come and made peace with them. Then the beasts did obeisance to Adam, according to the commandment of Yahuwah, except the serpent, against which Yahuwah was wroth. It did not come to Adam with the beasts. Very interesting, right? Chapter 8. Then Adam wept and said, O Elohim, when we dwelt in the garden and our hearts were lifted up, we saw the angels that sang praises in heaven. But now we do not see them as we used to do. Nay, when we entered the cave, all creation became hidden from us. Again, these are insights into the spiritual realm. My friends, I am here to tell you that I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we are surrounded both by evil demons and by messengers who are here to help us. I believe that if we could see the world that was walking around us, we would be shocked. We'd be shocked at the evil, and we'd be shocked at those defending us. And so when Adam was talking about this, when they were in the garden, the angels saw them and they saw the angels. It was a two-way street. There was nothing hidden from them. And now when we have fallen from grace, we've lost that connection to the other world. We no longer see what is watching us. Very interesting. Verse 2. Then Elohim, the Lord, said unto Adam, when thou wast under subjection to me, thou hadst a bright nature within thee. And for that reason couldst thou see things afar off. But after thy transgression, thy bright nature was withdrawn from thee. And it was not left to thee to see things afar off, but only near at hand, after the ability of the flesh, for it is brutish. When Adam and Eve had heard these words from God, Elohim, they went their way, praising and worshiping him with a sorrowful heart, and Yahuwah ceased to commune with them. Very interesting enough. Chapter 9. Then Adam and Eve came out of the cave of treasures and drew near the garden gate. And there they stood to look at it and wept for having come away from it. And Adam and Eve went from before the gate of the garden to the southern side of it and found there the water that watered the garden, from the root of the tree of life, and that parted itself from thence into 4 rivers over the earth. Then they came and drew near to that water and looked at it and saw that it was the water that came forth from under the root of the tree of life in the garden. And Adam wept and wailed and smote upon his breast for being severed from the garden, and said to Eve, why hast thou brought upon me, upon thyself and upon our seed, so many of these plagues and punishments? And, that is a common thing inside of marriages, right? A man and woman will blame each other when at the end of the day, Yes, Eve did bring the fruit, the forbidden fruit, to her man, but at the same time, he chose to eat this fruit. It was two separate people. They both made two separate decisions, and he can blame Eve, Kawa, all he wants. But at the end of the day, they both transgressed, and she could have fallen. She could have been destroyed, but he allowed himself to be destroyed as well. Verse 6, and Eve said unto him, why is it thou hast seen to weep and to speak to me in this wise? Eve's like, look, what am I supposed to do? Verse 7, and he said to Eve, seest thou not this water that was with us in the garden, that watered the trees of the garden and flowed out thence? And we, when we were in the garden, did not care about it, but since we came to the strange land, we love it and turn it to use for our body. But when Eve heard these words from him, she wept. And from the soreness of their weeping, they fell into that water and would have put an end to themselves in it, so as to never again to return and behold the creation. For when they looked upon the work of creation, they felt they must put an end to themselves. And again, we are dealing with people growing up at a very fast rate. They are understanding good and evil, and they get it now, right? They understand it, and it is sad. Days and days and days and years these people will weep, and they're very sad. These are very sad times indeed. So the account in the Bible that we get of, booted to the garden, it goes here, and there's Seth and the rest of everybody, and there was so much more in this, and we're talking thousands of years. I don't know about thousands of years, but we know there's lots of years. Okay, last chapter, and then we'll close on this one. Chapter 10. Then Yahuwah, Elohim, merciful and generous, looked upon them, thus lying in the water, and nigh unto death, and sent an angel who brought them out of the water and laid them on the seashore as dead. Then the angel went up to God, was welcome, and said, O Elohim, thy creatures have breathed their last. Well, they're dead again. Then Elohim sent his word unto Adam and Eve, who raised them from their death. And Adam said, after he was raised, O Elohim, while we were in the garden, we did not require or care for this water, but since we came to this land, we cannot do without it. Yeah, welcome to the human life existence, right? Try going a few days without water. They didn't have that in the garden, right? All of the human necessities they did not have. Did they itch? Did they even have itches back then? I mean, I think life was a lot different. Then God said to Adam, Then God said to him, while thou was under my command and wast a bright angel, thou knewest not this water. That's very interesting. Yah refers to us as a bright angel. But after that, thou hast transgressed my commandment, thus canst not do without water, wherein to wash thy body and make it grow. For it is now like that of beasts, and is in want of water. When Adam and Eve heard these words from Elohim, they wept a bitter cry, and Adam entreated God to let him return to the garden and look at it a second time. This is very interesting, right? We have to have water to live, right? They did not understand that the necessity and our entire bodies, right, are made of water. If we don't have water, we die. These are all things like, oh, by the way, you need water. Oh, by the way, you need food. Oh, by the way, it's going to get windy. By the way, the sun's going to come soon. Verse 8. But God, Elohim said unto Adam, I have made thee a promise. When that promise is fulfilled, I will bring thee back into the garden, thee and their righteous seed. And Elohim ceased to commune with Adam. Okay, so there's a very interesting promise. I have made thee a promise, and that they will go back to the garden. Is this them? Will Adam and Eve ever go back to the garden? No. But will we ever have a chance to see the garden? Possibly. That is what we're searching for. That is where we're trying to go. And that's, when we seek the garden, we're seeking the face of Elohim. We are seeking the one who walked with us and talked with us and a perfect life. And this life can go back to there, but it's not going to go until the 5.5 days. And if you guys haven't figured out the 5.5 days, we're talking thousands of years. We're talking 1 day is 1,000 years for Yah. And so Adam doesn't understand this. He's like, oh, okay, I get to go back in 5.5 days. He doesn't understand, number one, what a day is. And he doesn't understand what Yah's days are. And so we're learning. We are learning. Adam is learning. And I hope you guys are learning with us. I hope you guys are enjoying the reading. And I'm going to end this segment on this. Have a good day.